July 8. Powerful prayer for God to cancel every evil attack and protect you from the enemy's plans. July 8. Powerful prayer for God to cancel every evil attack and protect you from the enemy's plans. There is a realm unseen, yet more real than the one before your eyes. A spiritual dimension where battles are won not with weapons, but with awareness. The enemy's greatest trick is to make you believe he holds power over your life, your mind, your future. But today, on this sacred day of July 8, heaven invites you to rise into a new level of consciousness where no evil plot, no hidden snare, no whispered curse can touch the one who knows who they are in God. You are not a victim struggling to survive. You are a spiritual being clothed in divine authority, and when you remember this truth, everything begins to shift. The evil that once threatened to destroy you is now being dismantled in the invisible. The traps set for your downfall are being cancelled by the God who goes before you, behind you, and lives within you. You don't fight darkness by cursing the dark, you shine the light, and the light of God within you is your shield. So today, as you prepare your heart in prayer, do not beg, believe, do not fear, feel faith. The moment you accept divine protection as your present reality, you awaken the power that silences the enemy's voice and erases every demonic blueprint against your life. The victory has never been outside of you. It's been waiting inside you all along. You are surrounded by divine protection. Feel it now in the unseen realm where all outcomes are born. There exists a sacred truth. You are always, entirely, and eternally surrounded by divine protection. Not sometimes, not when you feel holy or pray the right words, but always. The only thing that ever causes you to feel exposed, attacked, or overwhelmed by the enemy's plans is your forgetfulness of this eternal truth. Evil does not win by force, it wins by suggestion. It whispers doubt into your mind and fear into your heart until you begin to imagine danger, and what you imagine, you begin to believe, and what you believe, you begin to experience. But hear this truth now and let it shake you free. Your world is shaped by the assumptions you hold to be true in the silence of your soul. When you assume that God is for you, nothing can stand against you. When you feel that angels are surrounding you, guiding your every step, canceling every trap, you begin to walk through storms untouched. You do not need to see the enemy's plans fall apart to believe it has already happened. You need only to dwell in the knowing that they have no power over the one who abides in divine consciousness. The Lord is not outside of you, reaching down from heaven to pluck you from danger. The Lord is within you, moving through you, canceling what you cannot see and dissolving what you never knew was coming. You are not waiting for protection, you are living in it. But the doorway to this reality is not opened by panic. It is opened by presence. It is opened when you become still, silent, and deeply aware that nothing can enter your life unless it first enters your mind. You must not allow the inner gate of your imagination to be occupied by the enemy. You must guard it with truth. For every fearful thought, plant a vision of peace. For every whisper of doom, imagine deliverance. For every attack, imagine the light of God surrounding you like fire. The fire is not coming. It is already here. But your awareness of it is what makes it real in your experience. Do you not know you carry a spiritual atmosphere, and that atmosphere determines what enters your space? When you are aware of being divinely guarded, you do not need to pray out of desperation. You speak as one who knows the outcome. You declare, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper," not because you are hoping, but because you are knowing. The moment you stop imagining yourself in danger, and begin imagining yourself in divine dominion, the atmosphere around your life begins to shift. You begin to see that what once overwhelmed you now has no voice. What once tried to destroy you has been swallowed up by light. Even the very traps of your enemies become steps toward your destiny, for God uses all things for your good when your mind is stayed on Him. The enemy will try to distract you with chaos, fear, news, rumors, confusion, attacks that seem to come from nowhere. But your job is not to fight back in the natural. Your role is to hold the truth in your inner sanctuary. God's protection is not a future event. It is a present awareness. You are covered not by pleading, but by positioning. Position yourself in knowing. Position yourself in vision. Speak from the mountaintop, not the valley. From that high place of faith declare over your life, no evil shall befall me. I am surrounded by angels. I walk in divine immunity. Every curse is reversed. Every trap is cancelled. Every enemy is defeated, not by my strength, but by my awareness of God's power within me. This is not mere positive thinking. This is spiritual dominion. You are reclaiming the battlefield of your imagination and handing it over to divine power. And when you do this, you will begin to feel a stillness inside you that the enemy cannot touch. You will begin to sense the presence of God walking with you in every room, every conversation, every conflict. You will no longer fear the plot, because you know the author of your life holds the pen. And his plot is greater than any weapon formed against you. You were not created to fear demons. You were created to rule from within. You are the gatekeeper of your reality. Choose now what you allow to live in your mind. If you want protection, think protection. If you want peace, feel peace. If you want every plan of the enemy to be cancelled, stop rehearsing it in your thoughts and begin imagining divine outcomes instead. For as you imagine, so it is. On this day, July 8, let your spiritual eyes open. See the truth that the world ignores. You are divinely protected, not because you've earned it, but because you've awakened to it. And once you awaken, you never go back to sleep. Walk today as one who knows they are covered. Live as one who has already been delivered. Speak as one who stands in the victory of God. And remember, your only battle is to remain in this awareness. When you win that, canceling the enemy's assignment starts in the mind. There is no weapon, no witchcraft, no scheme, no attack formed against you that can prevail, unless it first finds agreement in your own mind. The assignment of the enemy is not activated by external rituals or curses. It is activated the moment you accept fear, believe the threat, and imagine it unfolding. That is the true battlefield. The enemy does not need access to your home, your finances, or your relationships. He only needs access to your consciousness, for it is within the mind that realities are shaped. The enemy suggests, but it is your belief that gives his suggestion form. You were never meant to fight evil with your fists or react with panic. You were designed to cancel darkness by refusing to dwell in it. The only way to cancel the enemy's assignment over your life is to break the mental agreement you've made with defeat. And you may not even realize you've made it. Every time you say, "I'm under attack," you reinforce the illusion that the enemy has power. Every time you replay the betrayal, meditate on the hardship, rehearse the injustice, you are unknowingly renewing the enemy's contract with your imagination. The moment you stop accepting the attack as part of your reality, it begins to lose power. You are not here to observe reality. You are here to command it by what you accept as true. The attack is real, but it is not permanent. It only survives through your attention. What you water with thought grows. What you ignore begins to wither. The most powerful prayer is not always spoken out loud. It is the silent rejection of lies and the deep inner affirmation of God's truth. When you say within yourself, "I am protected, I am covered, I am surrounded by angels, no plan of the enemy can stand against the will of God in my life," you shift the course of events in the unseen. That is how you cancel demonic assignments, by canceling your inner agreement with fear. Fear gives shape to the enemy's threat, but faith gives life to God's promise. Choose where you place your power. The trap may be real, but God's hand is stronger. The threat may be loud, but your knowing is louder. If you want to cancel what the enemy planned for your destruction, you must stop talking about it like it has authority. Stop giving it air. Starve the enemy of your imagination. Do not rehearse what they did, what they said, how it hurt. That is how darkness grows. Instead, feed your vision with divine outcomes. Imagine yourself protected, elevated, restored. Picture the enemy's traps falling apart. Picture yourself walking through fire untouched. Visualize angelic intervention every step of the way. Speak to your own soul, "God has already delivered me." And as that thought becomes dominant, everything else begins to bow. Do not wait for evidence to feel safe. Feel safe to produce the evidence. That is how the law of faith works. You live from the result, not toward it. You pray as one who knows it's done. You speak as one who has already escaped. Your deliverance begins not with begging heaven, but by imagining the outcome heaven already prepared for you. This is not make believe, it is spiritual law. The only power the enemy has is the power you give him through your inner state. If you feel vulnerable, you manifest vulnerability. If you feel defeated, you draw in defeat. But when you feel victorious, the atmosphere bends around you. When you choose to feel protected, even in the middle of the attack, the plan begins to unravel. What they plotted in secret cannot manifest in your life unless you agree with its possibility. But the moment you cancel that agreement, by thought, by word, by vision, you tear the enemy's contract to pieces. You must treat every fearful thought as a lie trying to gain entrance. Guard the gates of your mind. Do not let anxiety decorate your imagination. Do not let memories of trauma create future expectation. You are not defined by what happened. You are defined by what you accept as real right now. And if you declare the enemy's plans are canceled, then they are, not later, not one day, now. Heaven responds to authority, not panic. Speak as a child of God, not a beggar hoping for rescue. You do not need to scream to be heard in the Spirit. You need to believe, and belief is demonstrated not by volume but by vision. Do you see yourself victorious? Do you see the assignment reversed? Can you feel freedom in advance? That is the posture that unlocks divine cancellation. The enemy may attack, but it won't stick. The curse may be sent, but it will return to sender. The trap may be set, but you will walk right past it. If you remain in the knowing that God has gone ahead of you, you are not walking into the unknown. You are walking into the fulfillment of protection that has already been spoken over your life. You are covered in every dimension, body, mind, soul, and spirit. And when you know this, when you accept it, when you feel it deeply, the enemy's plans dissolve into dust. His authority is an illusion. But your agreement is power, so what will you agree with today? The fear or the faith, the plot or the promise? Cancel the attack by canceling your inner fear. Speak over your day, your family, your future. I do not accept the enemy's script. I walk in the divine timeline of heaven. I agree with peace. I partner with protection. I dwell in the secret place. No weapon shall prosper. These are not just words. They are keys, and once you turn them, the doors of darkness slam shut, and the light of divine protection floods in. That is how God cancels every evil attack, through the one who dares to believe in what they cannot see, and who walks in power through what others fear. The plans of the enemy fail when your mind refuses to accept them. Everything else must bow. Prayer is the portal, not to beg, but to align. True prayer is not the act of desperately begging God to rescue you from the enemy's schemes. It is the sacred art of aligning yourself with the divine truth that the battle is already won. Most people misunderstand prayer. They think it is a tool to change God's mind, when in reality it is the gateway to change their own awareness. You do not pray to inform God of the danger. He already sees, already knows, already surrounds you. You pray to shift your perception from fear to faith, from panic to peace, from the seen to the unseen. You pray not to escape the storm, but to remember that the storm has no power over the one who dwells in the secret place. Prayer is the portal into divine consciousness, where you are reminded of who you are, not a victim of darkness, but a vessel of light. And when you truly pray not out of desperation, but out of deep trust, you enter the atmosphere where the enemy's plans lose their grip. The more you pray with assurance, the more heaven aligns with you, not because God has moved, but because you have. You shifted from trembling to triumph. You've stepped into the vibration of the outcome already accomplished. That is what makes prayer powerful. It realigns your soul with the truth that already exists in the unseen. When you declare, Lord, cancel every evil assignment, do not picture yourself under attack, hoping for relief. Picture yourself already victorious, and watch how that picture becomes your reality. Prayer is not for the ears of men, nor even for the ears of God. It is for the transformation of the one who prays. You are not begging for safety. You are becoming aware of safety. You are not pleading for breakthrough. You are embodying the feeling that breakthrough is already unfolding. This is how the soul communes with the eternal. It rises into the awareness that what God has ordained no demon can revoke. Prayer is not passive, it is creative. You form images in the silence of prayer that begin to manifest around you like divine armor. You feel yourself covered, and then you are. You feel the plan canceled, and then it collapses. You feel the peace of God, and then peace rules your day. It does not begin on the outside. It begins in the unseen inner altar where you bring your attention to truth. That is where the enemy has no access. That is where you dwell above the threat, above the curse, above the plan. So pray not just with words, but with vision. When you say, "Cover me, God," see it. Imagine light surrounding your home, your path, your heart. When you say, "Protect my mind," feel it sense the stillness settling over you like a shield. When you declare, "Cancel the attack," picture the plan unraveling, the trap closing on the one who set it, the arrows melting before they reach you. This is not fiction. This is spiritual law. You are drawing from the invisible realm into the visible world by how you pray with feeling. You are not weak for praying. You are powerful when you pray rightly, when your prayer flows from knowing, not fearing. Jesus never begged the Father. He thanked him. "I thank you, Father, that you have heard me." That is the posture of divine prayer, not hoping it works, but thanking that it already has. When you pray with that certainty, the atmosphere around you bends. The energy shifts. The plans written in darkness begin to erase themselves. This is why the enemy fights your prayer life, not because your words are magic, but because your alignment is deadly to his schemes. The moment you remember who you are, the chains fall off. The moment you commune with the Spirit, confusion clears. The moment you feel the presence of God again, the enemy flees, because the light you just activated in your soul is too strong for darkness to linger. Prayer is not optional for the chosen. It is breath. It is sustenance. It is the tuning fork that brings your life into harmony with heaven. Without it, you drift into fear, into reaction, into human logic. But with it, you rise into the realm where no enemy can follow. This is why you must pray daily, not as a religious task, but as a spiritual realignment. It is not the length of your prayer that matters, but the depth of your belief while praying. You could whisper, "Lord, cancel every attack." And if you feel it deeply, if your imagination is aligned, it is done. Angels move by that kind of faith. God does not need many words. He moves at the speed of your inner agreement. The moment your heart says amen, in true alignment, the heavens answer. And so in this hour, do not let your prayers be filled with panic. Let them be filled with presence. Pray with the stillness that knows God has already gone before you. Pray with the vision that sees light where others see warfare. Pray with the inner posture that refuses to be shaken. The enemy cannot touch the one who prays from this realm, because they are not asking for help. They are enforcing what already belongs to them. You are not fighting for victory. You are enforcing victory. You are not trying to survive. You are declaring that nothing sent against you shall stand. That is the language of powerful prayer. That is how you cancel every plan without breaking a sweat. You rest in divine awareness, and everything not aligned with God begins to collapse. So pray now, not out of fear of what they've done, but from faith in what God is doing. Pray not because you're overwhelmed, but because you're already overshadowed by the Almighty. Speak not from weakness, but from authority. You are not trying to earn protection. You're awakening to it. And every time you pray from this truth, the enemy's blueprint burns in the fire of divine immunity is activated by inner conviction. There is a level of divine protection that cannot be explained, only experienced. A spiritual immunity that surrounds the one who is fully persuaded in their soul that they are untouchable in God. This is not arrogance, it is awareness, and it is this awareness that becomes your armor. Divine immunity is not something God turns on and off depending on your performance. It is a state of consciousness available to anyone who chooses to live from faith instead of fear. It is not earned through rituals or repetition. It is activated by inner conviction. You must know that you are protected. You must feel that the enemy's plans cannot prevail. You must be so fully convinced of your divine covering that the very idea of being harmed loses its ability to shake you. The difference between those who fall into the enemy's trap and those who walk through fire untouched lies not in their environment, but in their internal state. One sees the storm and imagines destruction. The other sees the storm and knows they will pass through it in peace. That knowing, that steady inner agreement with divine safety, becomes their shield. You see, God's promises are not activated by fear. They are revealed through faith, and faith is not hoping, it is embodying, it is living from the outcome already secured. When you declare, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper," you are not quoting scripture for comfort, you are speaking spiritual law. But that law is only effective when your soul aligns with it. If you speak safety but feel terror, if you declare protection while imagining the worst, then you are divided within, and a divided mind cannot stand in authority. But when every part of you, heart, imagination, emotion, and expectation, is united in the truth that God's light surrounds you, then no darkness can find entrance. The enemy knows this, which is why his greatest goal is to shake your inner knowing. He sends distractions, delays, false evidence, and emotional storms to knock you off balance, so you will agree with danger, with loss, with vulnerability. But the one who returns again and again to the center, the sacred stillness where divine protection is not just an idea, but a living reality, remains immune. It is not that the attack doesn't come. It is that it cannot penetrate the atmosphere of someone whose mind is set on things above. You must realize that fear opens doors. It is not always the enemy breaking in. It is often our own imagination leaving the gate wide open through belief in what is false. But conviction shuts that door. Conviction declares, "I do not accept that outcome." Conviction chooses to feel safe even when logic says to panic. Conviction sees angelic armies where others see opposition. Conviction doesn't wait for evidence to believe. It believes until the evidence rearranges itself. That is how divine immunity works. It wraps itself around the one whose conviction will not bend, whose gaze will not drop, whose heart remains anchored in the higher realm. Think of it, when the 3 Hebrew boys were thrown into the fire, they were not delivered from it, they were delivered in it. The fire didn't harm them because the presence of God walked with them. That's what conviction does. It draws divine presence so tangibly that even the fire must submit. And that same fire burns away every plan, every chain, every curse that was designed to destroy you. You were not promised a life without battle, but you were promised victory in every battle, and your victory is sealed when your conviction becomes unshakable. You must stop giving the enemy credit he never earned. You must stop rehearsing the worst, replaying the lie, magnifying the attack. Every time you focus on the evil, you forget your immunity. But when you say, "I cannot be touched, I am divinely sealed, I walk in supernatural safety," you begin to embody the very vibration of heaven, and hell cannot touch that frequency. It is not pride, it is alignment. You are agreeing with God, not fear. You are tuning in to the truth that your life is hidden in Christ, and nothing can reach what God has already sealed. This is the awareness that keeps you standing when others fall. It is not that you are better. It is that you are rooted, and roots matter when the winds rise. The deeper your conviction, the higher your protection. You must live from the end. You must already feel what it's like to have every evil plan canceled, every attack reversed, every plot exposed. And you must do it before you see it, because that is the power of true spiritual law. Feel it now. Feel yourself surrounded, not by people, not by walls, but by the invisible light of God's love. Feel the presence that goes before you, leveling every trap. Feel the divine eyes watching over you, seeing what you cannot, blocking what was never meant to touch you. This is not imagination gone wild. It is imagination returned to its original purpose, to build what heaven has already declared. Divine immunity is not fantasy. It is your inheritance, but you must claim it through belief, through focus, through emotional agreement. Stop letting your circumstances tell you how safe you are. Let your conviction define the atmosphere. When you walk into a room, let protection go before you. When you speak, let authority echo. When you sleep, let peace rule. When you wake, let confidence be your covering. The enemy cannot touch what he cannot locate, and he cannot locate the one hidden in unwavering conviction. So stay hidden in truth. Stay planted in the knowing. Guard your gates, your eyes, your ears, your words. Let no fear slip in through a careless conversation or a thought unchallenged. Keep the flame of your conviction burning, because that is the firewall. That is the invisible barrier no demon can cross. That is your immunity. It is not fragile. It is fortified by the Spirit within you. And when the enemy comes to inspect your life, to test your defenses, to try the door, he will find it shut, shut by belief, by revelation, by the sacred awareness that you are already covered. That is the power of divine immunity, and it begins not around you, but in you. The enemy's plot becomes powerless when you walk in divine identity. There is a sacred truth most never realize, that the enemy's plan has no power until you forget who you are. The entire strategy of darkness is built upon deception, distraction, and disconnection, not raw strength. The adversary cannot override God's will, cannot cross divine boundaries, cannot rewrite your destiny. What he can do is convince you that you are weak, lost, unworthy, unprotected, and then tempt you to live from that false identity. And the moment you accept the lie, you become vulnerable, not because God's covering failed, but because your own awareness surrendered. This is why the most powerful form of spiritual warfare is not outward resistance, but inward remembrance. When you walk in your true identity, when you know that you are chosen, sealed, and backed by the Most High, every attack loses its grip. The plot of the enemy becomes powerless the moment you stop identifying as the hunted and start standing as the victorious. You are not a target. You are a temple. You are not a victim. You are a vessel of divine glory. You are not under the enemy. You are seated above in spiritual places, hidden in God. And when this becomes more than just a quote or a hope, when it becomes your inner truth, everything changes. Evil cannot attach itself to one who sees themselves as holy ground. The enemy cannot manipulate one whose mind is rooted in their heavenly identity. He may try to whisper doubt, but those whispers bounce off the one who walks in awareness. You must remember that God didn't just save you from sin. He placed His Spirit within you. You are not just forgiven. You are filled. You are not just delivered. You are equipped. And when you pray, declare, move, and think from that posture, nothing the enemy sends can find landing space. Most people think the warfare is in the chaos around them. No, the warfare is always in the narrative within them. You must replace every fearful thought with identity-based truth. When the thought comes, they're coming against you. Answer with, I am untouchable in God. When you hear, this situation will break you, say, I cannot be broken because I am rooted in the unshakable. When fear tries to grip your heart, respond not with panic, but with posture. I am a child of light. Nothing formed in darkness can prevail against me. The enemy does not fear your effort. He fears your knowing. He fears the moment you wake up and realize that the power you seek is already inside of you. He fears the moment you stop praying like a beggar and start decreeing like a king. He fears the moment you stop running from the attack and start ruling over it in the Spirit. And that moment comes when you embrace your divine identity, not just in word, but in consciousness. The greatest deliverance is not when a curse is broken, but when the person who once feared the curse realizes they were never under it to begin with. That's when the enemy's grip slips. That's when the darkness retreats. That's when the plot collapses. The trap was never meant to hold you. It was meant to test whether you knew who you were. Once you know, it loses power. You see, God didn't create you to be constantly reactive to evil. He designed you to be proactive in truth. And truth always overrides illusion. The enemy's plan is an illusion held together by your agreement. Tear it down with your declaration. Dismantle it with your belief. Demolish it by waking up every morning and declaring, I know who I am covered, I am chosen, I am protected, I am in the will of God. Every plan against me will turn into promotion. Every lie sent to destroy me will backfire. Every evil scheme will become a stage for God's glory to be revealed through me. You don't speak this because you feel strong. You speak this because it is true. And the more you speak it, the more you feel it. And the more you feel it, the more you see it. Your identity is the key to your immunity. Your remembrance is the weapon against every form of demonic assault. You were not sent to the earth to survive. You were sent to establish divine presence everywhere you go. You are a gate through which heaven touches earth. You carry the atmosphere of God, and when you walk into a place aware of that, it shifts, not because of you, but because of who is in you. That awareness becomes your shield. That identity becomes your sword. That knowing becomes your protection, so stop waiting for the enemy to retreat. Take your place and declare who you are until he flees. Speak your identity over every anxious moment, every threat, every unexpected attack. I am one with God's Spirit. I am light in darkness. I am already victorious. This isn't spiritual arrogance. It's divine alignment. You are agreeing with heaven, and that agreement silences hell. The enemy cannot win in a space where identity is sealed. And so today you must remember who you are, whose you are, and where you are seated. You are not beneath the attack, you are above it. You are not under spiritual warfare, you are over it. Because your identity in God is not something you're trying to earn. It's something you're called to walk in. And the moment you walk in it, the enemy's plot is exposed, his strategies unravel, and his access is revoked. He cannot operate where truth reigns, so let truth reign in your thoughts, let it reign in your language, let it reign in your imagination. You are not under siege, you are under grace, you are not the prey, you are the promise. And when you know this, truly know it, every evil attack loses its aim, because a chosen one walking in divine identity is the one thing the enemy cannot touch.